Yeah.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm excited to be here.
I know this is super exciting. This is you're my second guest on my new show, Deep Conversations.
Yay.
And I've been looking at what you've been doing on Instagram for a while, and I just love everything that you do. And I would like for you to maybe talk a little bit about yourself and how you became to do like the spiritual movement and everything that you've been doing lately.
Yes, well, it has
Hmm.
been quite a long journey. It hasn't been easy, but it hasn't been difficult. It's
Hmm.
just has been what it has been, right?
Uh-huh.
Sometimes it's a little bit harder, sometimes it's a little bit easier, but I believe that I started when I was really young.
Hmm.
I just didn't really know what to do with it, right? Because I was
Hmm.
young, even younger than a teenager, but I'm a teenager, I'm doing my
Hmm.
things, I work on TV. We used to dance in the group
Yeah.
together.
I know. I always noticed that you've had like some sort of energy that you were cultivating an energy, and maybe that's what draw draw to me. Like I was like, okay, Ivana's cool. What's up with
Woo!
her? What's up with her?
Yeah, it just has been a long journey. I started when I was like 15 or 16 to do
Hmm.
Reiki. So at that time, these things were not really talked about, like Reiki or yoga or spirituality was not
Uh-huh.
so heard of, or people were not really so into it. And this has grown a
Hmm.
lot throughout the years. So I started when I was really young into this whole spirituality and spiritual realm. Like I
Yeah.
said, I had it within me, but I was focusing more on my earthly aspect of myself, you know?
Hmm.
And about 3 years and a half ago, that's when I decided to make the shift and to really do something with this and to really make something of it. And I learned how to
Hmm.
play the beautiful singing bowls that we will be
Nice.
playing in a bit.
Yay!
Uh,
I'm excited about this.
Yes, I'm excited too to share with you. And some days when I was especially practicing with the bowls and with the Reiki, and now having people come and see me for a spiritual guidance or spiritual healing, it was a
Hmm.
roller coaster ride, you know?
Yeah.
It was very, very challenging at the beginning because I would get mad, I would get frustrated, I wouldn't be able
Hmm.
to receive the messages.
Like in your
Um,
spiritual journey, because it's not just your spiritual journey, but also as a guide and as a teacher.
yes, of course. And
Hmm.
and people that were older than me were coming to see me. So,
Hmm.
the mind kicks in and doubt yourself.
I
It's like,
know.
what am I doing? Am I doing it right? Why are they seeing me? Like, all these doubts came about,
Hmm.
frustration, pain, physical pain in my body as well arose. So, but I went through it. I said this is something that I really enjoy doing. So it
Hmm.
took me a while, and I still learn. I'm still growing. I'm still
Hmm.
fulfilling myself to be able to help and serve others better.
Nice. How long have you been experiencing like, or when was the first time that you noticed that the spiritual journey was for you?
I think since when I was like
9?
9 years old. Yeah, like I
That's
recall
young.
that. Yes.
Hmm.
I recall
Yeah.
that age as a moment of realization in my life.
Hmm.
I didn't really know what to do with that, and I was channeling it the wrong way. So I
Hmm.
became very aggressive. I became very crazy in a
You
sense. You
sound
could
like
tell.
me. I think I went through the same thing.
Yeah,
I
you can
was
ask my
crazy too.
mom. Yeah, she's trying to log in, my mom, and she can't. I don't know why
Oh.
she says that she can. It says the comments are off as well. Did you turn the
Oh,
comments off?
I turned them off because they're blocking your face, and I thought like I didn't want to be rude to you, like that way we can see your face as well because the comments are shifting. I mean, we can turn them on in a little bit. That way, if somebody has a question. But first, I wanted to introduce you to my community and maybe for people to know a little bit about you and like what you do and all that. Hmm.
Awesome, thank you. So yeah, so I became a little bit crazy, I would say, and
Hmm.
it was just difficult for me to manage all that energy and to manage all that was happening. I remember that at a very young age, I would see things differently, or maybe the world differently, or maybe my parents or my friends will not understand me.
Yeah.
So I was a very lonely child, not
Hmm.
lonely, but I would be a lot by myself, and I would
Hmm.
feel more comfortable being alone than being
Yeah.
surrounded by people.
Yeah,
So
like an
yeah, like,
introvert hermit.
yeah, well, I've always been an extrovert. Like, I've always been very,
Hmm.
very like that. Like, my personality has been like that. But there would be
Hmm.
moments where I would have
You just
enough
kind
of
of,
it.
hmm,
Yes, and I just have to like back
like
out a little
overload,
bit.
overwhelmed of energies. Yeah, I
Yes.
completely agree. I mean, and I think a lot of people don't really like. For me, I've been going through a spiritual. Well, I developed my spirituality young too. I kind of channeled a lot into Christianity, which I really like. And but now it's like a completely different. Like I feel like my life in the past couple of years has been changing a lot, from working in nightlife and clubs. Now I'm just like full-time acting, and now I'm just like really trying to get myself like just as pure as Zen possible, like maybe meditating and all that. And I think a lot of people don't really know this, that a spiritual journey is, like you said, a roller coaster. Like some people think that you're just like chilling and just really cool, but you have your downs, and the downs can be like bad. So, I mean, maybe you can share like how you got to this point right now, or how do you get out of that? Like, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people right now are struggling with some sort of energy funks, due to like also what's going on. Like, there's some sort of like connection, or what do you think about that?
Well, yes, definitely. Right now, the world as a collective consciousness, is shifting and is changing. And
Hmm.
when shift and change arise, fear
Hmm.
kicks in because
Yeah.
we're scared of what's going to happen, or what's happening, or what will happen, or people that are losing their jobs, or they're not having any income. I'm in that situation as well. I'm not working at all. So
Hmm.
I'm also
It's affecting
there.
all of us. Yeah.
It's affecting everybody, but
Hmm.
first of all, is being aware. Having awareness is key for this journey and for life
Hmm.
in general, right? If you are aware that, okay, we are aware there is a situation going on, things are
Hmm.
shifting, things are changing, and everything is always in constant change, but maybe
Yeah.
at a lower pace. Right now everything is like
Hmm.
boom, changing in
In your
such a,
face here.
yeah, like bam,
There
and
you go. You're forced to level up.
yes, yes. So people are maybe not accepting that, or maybe they're not knowing how to manage that. Plus,
Hmm.
there's a news that impose a lot of fear, and
Hmm.
people are talking and spreading the word, and maybe saying things that are maybe a little bit shifted as to the reality.
Hmm.
We like the drama, so
Yeah, that's true. We kind of like drift towards like the true purpose, or what. I mean, you can take this like the good and the bad way, or you can take it the good way as well. Like for me, I'm kind of grateful that I was able to have this time off. Like that way I can kind of connect with myself and meditate and work on myself. And I mean, it's work. It's not, it just doesn't happen just overnight, and it does take some sort of effort and work, and throwing the wood to the fire, so I think maybe people don't really know this, and like maybe we can use this time wisely, like instead of
right,
giving it into like all the fear and the
right.
craziness, the madness. Hmm.
Yes, for me, when you were asking me about like the journey on the roller coaster,
Uh-huh.
I went to really deep depressions at a very young age, and also as a teenager, as an adult. So I went to
Hmm.
really dark spaces, really
Hmm.
being in a very dark hole. I used to get a lot of panic attacks.
Hmm.
And I went through that stage, and it's
Hmm.
not that they're gone. It's not that the depression has left me, and
Hmm.
also suicidal,
Hmm.
uh not only by thought but by action, maybe 4 or 5 times.
Oh, wow.
I went to do the action of doing that, but
I'm
of course
sorry.
it didn't work. I'm here. So there
I'm glad
always
it didn't get there. I'm
they
glad you
always
decided to stay with us.
yeah, well, they always saved me on time. There was always like a bell that saved me. Either someone found me on time, or something happened on
Wow.
time, or someone, came and saw me on time, or took me to the hospital on time, until it was the last one when I was 20, which has been 9 years ago. I'm 29 now.
Okay.
And
Hmm.
that time, nobody was there to save me. Nobody was there to do anything. And I had a near death experience when I was
Oh,
20
really?
due to that action. And
Hmm.
because I really wanted to just check out of this world. I'm like, I don't get it.
Wow.
Nobody gets me. I feel like an outcaster. I don't feel like I belong in any
Wow.
way. So I'm just tired of it. So let me just check out and check in with my
Hmm.
next life, whatever that might be or will be. So at that moment I had that experience, and a really big shift happened at age
Hmm.
20. and
Okay.
and slowly and surely I am led into this moment in time in my life, right? So,
Well.
for example, people that are maybe having panic attacks due to the
Hmm.
situation, maybe they have never had before, but now they are having them because there is a lot of fear happening and a lot of commotion. So,
Yeah.
what helps me whenever I feel like a panic attack is coming, because now I
Hmm.
know how they feel. Because when you don't know, they just come and
Hmm.
it comes and it gets you, and you feel like you're dying. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
you've ever had
I
one.
I had one not too long ago. I've never I know people that have had one, but I never really understood, or maybe how do you say it, like empathize with it. But not too long ago, I was in Arizona, and I went through a panic attack, and I didn't know how to identify it. I was with my friend. My friend was like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Like, what is wrong with this chick? Like, he didn't know if like to leave me alone, to help me. Like, he didn't know nothing, and I didn't know how to identify either. The only thing that I can do is just kind of like stay in one place. I went inside like the restroom, and I was just like there. I had to call my friend. I'm like, okay, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. I don't know what it is. And she's like, girl, you're having a panic attack. Just like chill out, like, and then all of a sudden this girl walks in the restroom. She's like, do you need a hug? I'm like, yes. And then
Yes,
she's like,
please.
and then so I just like I was able to get out of it, and thankfully there was people there with me, and I had never experienced that, and I never thought I would go through that. But some people say it's also part of the awakening, like the shifting of energy. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, is it something energetically as well?
Well, I think everything that exists, either living or non-living, is energy. We are
Hmm.
energy. We're particles of energy moving that condense into a mass, and that's why we look like
Hmm.
this, and that's why we see and we have like shapes and forms. So everything is energy, and everything is in constant movement, right? So, yes, for sure, that has to do with energy. And
Hmm.
also, it's a moment where it can get you anywhere. I had my first panic attack when I was driving.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was, yeah, that was intense. Like, the
That's
firefighters
that's
came,
not
the
good.
policemen came.
No,
I was
really?
like, this, like having tetany in my
Oh my
car. I felt like I was
God.
dying. It was like very chaotic, and that was the first time
Oh
ever. So
my
I really
God.
didn't know what was happening, and it started with the tingling on my arm. So I
Oh
started
wow.
feeling like this tingling on my arm, and then all of a sudden,
Hmm.
bam, it just like, covers my
It
whole
it was
body.
real. It
It was
became real.
real, and I was dying in that moment. Of course, I
Man,
went to the
that's
hospital.
intense.
They took me to the hospital, and they ran all the tests, and the tests came back
Hmm.
negative. I was like in optimal health. I was perfectly, and I
Yeah.
remember saying to the nurses, what do you mean I'm fine? I am dying. I feel like I'm dying. I have to have something. At
Uh,
that point, I was clueless, right? So
hmm.
for those
And
all
doctors
the
won't be able to notice it because it's not an actual like physical.
It's all in
Yeah.
here. It's
Hmm.
all in here. So it's nothing that could be like really tangible as to like what the medicine would say. Like I said,
Yeah.
all my blood levels were fine. Everything I was in perfect health. Of course, I was
Hmm.
feeling like I was dying in the moment, but I was in perfect health. So now when I realize any type of symptom of it
Hmm.
coming, sometimes you start feeling shaky, or you can just feel like this overwhelmed fear. I
Hmm.
pause. I realize that something is happening, that something is coming. and I
Mm-hmm.
pause. I make a big pause and
Mm-hmm.
I start looking at my surroundings and finding
Mm-hmm.
myself, okay, I am in my room. I am in a
Mm-hmm.
safe place. Nothing is happening. Nobody is attacking me. First of all, realizing that I'm not being attacked because
Mm-hmm.
I am not. No one is attacking me in any way. So it's like I said, awareness. Awareness is key. When you
Mm-hmm.
become aware, you realize that it's all in your head and that you have
Mm-hmm.
the power to shift that immediately. So maybe by
Yeah.
breathing, maybe focusing your breath, maybe focusing your mind on your breath. Maybe you can like jog a little and shake it off, or
Mm-hmm.
just really becoming aware of your surroundings. Like I am in my house right now, and
Mm-hmm.
here are my family. I am surrounded by my loved ones. You start realizing that what is happening inside is not
It's just
true.
mental. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is not true. So once when you recall and you're aware to realize that it's not true, the
Mm-hmm.
symptoms start to like
To
relax
calm
and
down.
ease and calm down, and
Like
then
the
all of a sudden
intensity just lowers.
it
Mm-hmm.
lowers. But you have to first of all want it to happen. You have to be
Mm-hmm.
aware of it. You have to want to get out of that mental space that is invading you, that you feel like you're
Mm-hmm.
being attacked or murdered, like someone is coming to kill you. And it's only you, and it's those emotions of fear. It's usually fear is the emotion that out of fear comes all the other emotions that spiral you down in a very low vibration. So at that moment you're
Mm-hmm.
vibrating very low. So the
Yeah.
idea is for you to bring your
To
vibration back
elevate
up.
the energy.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe some people can relate to that because right now it's a critical time that the future is uncertain. So we don't know exactly like what message do you have maybe for the community, like maybe some tips, something that can just bring some sort of peace and comfort, as a spiritual guide.
Well, there's many things that we can say or focus on, but I would believe that the main one for me is to know that everything has multiple sides or multiple perspectives, right? So if I grab
Mm-hmm.
this bowl like this, you
Mm-hmm.
are seeing this side of the bowl. Let's say I can't see it, but I am seeing this side that you're not seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe somebody else is seeing it from this side or maybe from this side. So there's multiple perspectives, right? Out of a situation. There's not only like let's see the positive or let's see the negative, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
many angles that we can look at the situation. So the key of this is it's so simple, and because it's so simple, people don't believe it or people don't do it because it's so simple. They
Because the
think it has,
mind, the mind gets in the
yeah,
way. Like the
they
mind
like
wants
to.
something complicated to digest and to process and to ta 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 ta, ta, like if it were a Tetris game. But like
Yes.
maybe it's we're complicating the life out of ourselves.
Yeah, it's so simple. So what it is that you have and everybody has the power of choosing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
only up to you to choose where you
Mm-hmm.
want to bring your attention. And like I mentioned, it's so simple because you can choose to focus on the fear, to focus on the scandalous of this whole situation and how
Mm-hmm.
big it is. And I'm not saying this in a sense like let's not care for what's happening. Let's,
Mm-hmm.
not think that it's not happening.
Or
No, no,
reject
no.
the
We
thought. Yeah.
or rejected. I am aware of what's happening. I am aware of the death. People that I've known or people that I know, they
Mm-hmm.
have had people that have passed away due to the
Yeah.
situation, or people even in
Mm-hmm.
my family have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I am very aware.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the word in English. No menosprecio.
Underestimate
Yes.
or devalue.
Yes. I don't underestimate or devalue the situation, but
Mm-hmm.
I have a power of choosing. So I can choose to connect with the fear and connect with that energy, or I have the power to choose to connect with my creative aspect, with
Mm-hmm.
what this opportunity is giving, what this situation is giving me as an opportunity, which is an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to, like, for everyone to stay home, an opportunity to
Mm-hmm.
reconnect, an opportunity to recreate yourself, or an opportunity maybe to do the things that you couldn't do before due to time because life was too chaotic. So now life
Mm-hmm.
lower its revolutions, like it's now
Yeah.
in a
The
lower
rhythm.
pace,
Hmm.
the rhythm. So now maybe you can take this time to recreate, rebuild, readjust,
Hmm.
reframe. Now I love to see
Reevaluate.
reevaluate.
Hmm.
People in Instagram and social media, if you see social media now, I'm so excited to see how people are being so creative.
I
Things that
know.
we
Look
have.
at me. I'm like, I don't think I would have had this idea if I didn't like just sit for once in my room, because I'm always like on the go, always like, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that, like keep active, trying to stay productive, and you have like that sense of like, okay, like my time, how am I gonna spend my time, and so all the time you're just like worried about being productive and where you want to get. But actually, I think maybe this is one of the perfect times to come up with like ideas or things that can maybe change your life or get creative or something that you've been wanting to do. So I think this is a perfect time to get creative. So that's why I started doing this. And I'm
There
having
you
fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah,
I'm excited to have people like
right.
you on my life, that I haven't been able to connect for a while as well. Mhm.
Yes,
¿Todo
exactly.
bien?
So, sí, sí, todo bien.
Se te cayeron unos libros.
Like the whole thing just fell.
Like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
It's
No,
like
I
too
had to
much
sit on
energy. It's too much
to,
energy.
yeah, we're moving the energies and
Uh-huh.
things are starting to fall. That's so funny. No, everything is fine. Yeah, so it's just basically it's just that simple. It's in these times you have the power to choose what you're gonna do with it. What do you want to create? Do you want to live in fear or do you want to live
Hmm.
in peace? Do you want to
Hmm.
live in pain or do you want to live in health? Also, if we, this situation, we're giving it a lot of power. How are we giving it
Hmm.
power? By
We're feeding
talking
it.
about it. Yes, by talking about it, by thinking about it, by having fear of it. And the most interesting thing is I read somewhere, someone told me that this situation or the virus per se,
Hmm.
it's non-living. It's like a thing that is even not existent. I think
Yeah, it's not
it's like
visible.
it's not visible,
Hmm.
and we're giving it like
It's so small, but we're making it so big.
we're making it so big.
Hmm.
So of course it's gonna keep growing and growing and growing and growing because we're
Hmm.
giving it all the power. Like now that situation has all the power. Why? Because we're giving it the power. So of course it's
Hmm.
gonna scale into a bigger thing because
Yeah.
we're giving it like, yeah, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, keep doing your
Hmm.
thing. But if we, and once again, I come to the awareness. If we are
Hmm.
aware of our thoughts, if we're aware
Hmm.
of our words, if we are aware of our actions, with those simple things, we're helping not only ourselves, but the whole everybody, the
Hmm.
collective of like the collective consciousness and all of us as humans and
Yeah.
as species, we're helping each other for this
Yeah.
situation to like slowly and slowly and slowly start fading
Yeah.
away. But what we're doing is like let's give it more. Vamos a ponerle más leña al fuego. Let's
Yeah.
pour more
Let's
charcoal
make the
to the
situation
fire.
worse. Let's
Yes.
make it worse than it already is.
Yeah. Let's just make it worse by thinking of it, talking of it, being fearful of it.
Yeah. I
So
feel like the last couple of weeks, every time I want to call somebody and kind of talk, like, this is basically the topic. It's always the
yes.
same topic. And I think, I mean, okay, it's part of our reality right now. But I think there's a certain maybe energy that we can put towards it as well, like you're saying, instead of like, oh my God, I can't go out, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, 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 like, and like freaking out about it, and maybe have a different approach, and maybe talk, like, it's okay to talk about like your struggle or how you're dealing with it, like it's okay to let it out, but a little bit, and that's it, like talking about it all day and talking it every day, like it's just also part of the disease, of illness,
Right.
Mhm.
Also, one thing that just came, well, it came and now it's gone. That happens. I thought I was, I was gonna say something, and then I was like shifted and drifted. I'm like,
Just
what was I gonna
splurt it out,
say?
whatever you want to say. This is your time. We want to hear about you. We want to know what goes on in your life, and maybe it can apply to somebody else's life as well. Hmm.
Right, yeah. Let me see. So you were saying about people talking about it, and that's the
Yeah,
only
that's
topic.
the topic and the energy that you put into it.
It's still gone. It's
It's
gonna it's
gone.
gonna co it's gone. It's gonna
Oh
come
well.
in a bit, I suppose. But
Well, tell maybe you can tell us a little bit about sound healing.
sound healing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So with sound healing, different it's different than music therapy.
Mm-hmm.
Or the way that at least I was taught and the way that I do my sessions is that the bowls, these are the bowls in Spanish, cuencos.
Cuencos.
Uh,
I just learned that
cuencos.
yesterday. I was
I
like,
know.
what's
You're like,
cuencos? I was like, I better ask before I make like a fun of myself in the life. Like, oh yeah, cuencos.
yeah, like the cuencos. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um,
That's a nice
so
bowl.
these,
It's pretty.
it's beautiful. Yeah, this is from
Mm-hmm.
Nepal, from a village that
Nice.
they have been doing these bowls for around over 400 years. Like it's a thing of that village and that family and what they do and what in the
Wow.
history,
Mm-hmm.
of the village. They've been making these bowls for over 400 years. So it's a
Wow.
very ancient instrument, and they used to use it a lot. People would have these, and in India or in these places, they would use it as a like they would eat from here, they would receive offerings from here, they would play,
Yeah.
they would with the
It
bowl, they
was
would be
everything.
able to do everything. Yeah,
It
like
was
be
like
fed,
the phone, the iPhone version of the back in the day.
of
Like
way
you live
back.
with it and you're always with it, right?
Yes. So these are handmade and they're hammered. So they hammer them. It's a really interesting process, an intricate process. And they're also machine made, right? So,
Okay.
but these are seven metals. And what these bowls do, they emit a very cosmic sound and a sound
Mm-hmm.
that is very familiar to the soul and the sound of
I don't know about
Om.
everybody, but I'm actually really excited to hear this. So, I mean, if you like to, maybe we can hear a little bit.
Yes,
Um,
so tell me how it
Herbal.
sounds. Tell me how they, because I have these headphones on, but I did another live the other day and they told me it sounded too much with these. So let me know how you hear it, okay?
Okay,
And then maybe I
got it.
can take them off if it's too loud. So, well, I'm
Okay,
gonna put them on the floor. You're not gonna see them, but they're here on the floor. I have three that
okay.
I brought out. So
Get
let's
ready,
see.
guys. We're gonna start vibrating higher.
Yeah.
Let's
Okay, tell me
elevate
how
the
it
energy.
sounds. Yes, here we go.
I like it. I mean, it sounds good. Yeah.
Okay.
I almost want to like meditate.
Yes, if you can close your eyes and take deep
Okay,
breaths
let's do it.
and relax your body, relax your shoulders, and let the sound bathe you and shower you. And bring all your attention to your breath. Breathing in slowly and exhaling slowly. Now, whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes
That was nice. I felt like I went like like somewhere else,
to
like I don't
the
know.
cosmos. Yeah, what these
Yeah,
sessions
like phew.
Yeah, what these sessions do, it's first of all, they harmonize your body. So when you have, I saw your video about disease the
Oh,
other
thank
day, and I
you.
was looking in your Instagram
I
about how
got
you're out of
inspired. I was
ease.
like I need to talk about all this.
It was beautiful. I loved it, and
Thank you.
it's true. You know, disease is when we're out of ease. So also
Hmm.
that happens when we fall out of harmony. So when we fall
That's
out of
true.
harmony, we welcome disease to happen. We welcome
Hmm.
illness to come in our body. So if we harmonize ourselves,
Hmm.
which these sessions do, is harmonize yourself, bring you back to your center, bring you back into alignment, kind of per se, like in
Hmm.
harmony, and in that space of harmony, that's when we welcome healing. That's when we can welcome yeah, healing in our body,
Hmm.
optimal health. So these
Hmm.
sounds are very familiar to our soul, and they're cosmic
Hmm.
sounds, and they make the sound om, om.
Wow.
And the sound om is the seed sound. It's called seed sound. It's the sound from
Hmm.
om. It's every other sound that we know in this earthly plane comes
Hmm.
from the sound, initial seed sound of Om. So
They
that's
said that that's
why,
like the first sound ever
yes,
in the
it's like
universe. Hmm.
Om. Yeah,
Uh,
Om. And then with
then
that
life happened.
sound,
Yeah.
and then life happens. So Om is like this, that's why it's called seed sound. So these bowls, what they do, these beautiful instruments, what they
Hmm.
do is precisely that. They make that sound, so that's why it's so familiar for our soul, and we are able to reach a very deep state of relaxation, of course, if you allow it, because if you're in your mind, then you're going to be in your
Hmm.
mouth, in your mind throughout the whole session. But if
In
you
your mouth.
allow
Just kidding.
to, in your mouth,
Yeah, you're gonna be in your mouth.
you're going to be in your mouth the whole session. uh,
What?
you're going to be in your mind. If you're in your mind, then don't expect things to happen, right? But if you allow to
Hmm.
transcend your mind, you're gonna be able
Which
to,
takes practice, right? Because like for me,
yes,
I think I never noticed that I was a completely mental person. You know how they say like estás de, like in Spanish, de mente, like of
right.
mind. You know, estás demente, crazy.
You're
So
of the
basically, it's
mind.
like you're
Yeah.
mental. Basically, you're like insane.
You're living in your mind or you're
Hmm.
believing you're your mind. That's what
Yeah,
happens. We have,
and sometimes you have no clue that you're like this until you start practicing like things like this, like meditation, yoga,
because
and
you were not taught
other tools.
otherwise. You were not taught
Hmm.
otherwise. So you are replicating, or you're being who you were taught by, maybe your parents,
Uh-huh.
by society, by school, by politics,
Yeah.
by just everybody telling you how you're supposed to be or who you're supposed to be. But if you
Hmm.
realize, and you have this, again, awareness that you're not your
Hmm.
mind, you're not
Yeah.
your body, right? So
Yeah.
if you're able to really not just say like, okay, yeah, and even to me till this day, I'm still working on it. It's not like,
Hmm.
oh, I'm perfect, my life is like divine and I don't go through anything. Oh no,
I'm
guys, like,
Zen.
no, trust me, like my life is nothing near to that. I still
And it's
have
also
my
maybe that's part
struggles.
of it too, like accepting that that your life is not perfect, or there's also that there's always room to work on,
Yes,
and taking awareness of that,
yes,
that
yes.
we should work on ourselves. And that things might look apparently maybe on the outside that everything's fine, but and in the end of the day, you're you go home and you're alone, and you were born alone, you're gonna die alone, like, so at the end of the day it's you. So how do you want to leave this world also? Like, do you want to leave this world have left a full life in peace, or so you're the only one that can really know what's going on inside you.
Right, in your inner universe, as I call it.
Hmm.
Like, emotions are always going to be there. Your mind is always going to be thinking, because that's what it's supposed
Hmm.
to do, right? So when
Yeah.
when we say meditate, and people say leave your mind blank, or that's
Hmm.
impossible. It's not possible, right?
Hmm.
So you get frustrated when you want to meditate, because thoughts are
Hmm.
always coming in, and
Hmm.
there's two types of thoughts that come in. There
Hmm.
are your thoughts that you're creating, and the collective conscious thoughts that they just,
Oh,
like,
that's feeding
you
you.
you are receiving, because we're all antennas and we're all receivers and broadcasters. So we're all sending a signal and we're all receiving a signal. So
Wow,
maybe
I didn't
you're
know
in a
that.
room, yeah, maybe you're in a room with like 10 people, and then all of a sudden you get this one thought, or maybe two thoughts, that you in yourself say, why am I even thinking that? Where did that come from? I usually don't think that. That's because whoever is in the room is thinking that, and you're picking up on their
Mm,
thoughts, and that thought is not even yours, but you make it your own because it's in your mind, and you don't know that it's not yours, that it's from some, so you think you're crazy, or you're
yeah.
like, why do I have this so insane thought in my mind that I'm not liking, or it's
Yeah,
bothering me. So first of all, is realize if it's your thought or if it's somebody else's thought. And it
that's
doesn't
true.
matter whose thought it is, because people's like, okay, is it my uncle? Is it my mom? Let's not go there. It doesn't really matter
Let me
whose
go
it is.
investigate. Let me knock
Yeah.
door to door.
Let me go see whose thought it
Who
is that
gave
I
me this thought?
broadcasted.
Was it
Right.
you,
So,
sir? Was it you? Was it you?
yeah. Were you just thinking about this, sir? Just
Tell me
out
the
of
truth.
curiosity. Yeah. No, let's not put our energy there, please. I mean,
Yeah.
you could. It's going to be a different experience,
I
but
mean, who has the time anyway to do that?
right, exactly. And it's just going to be a different experience. But so for the mind is it's made to think, and the mind it's really a helpful tool if we know how to use the mind. The mind is
Hmm.
great to be able to remember what we have to do tomorrow, or
Hmm.
remember our grocery list. We need
Yeah.
a mind, we need to remember that. But if we're not aware of the thought, if it's a thought that you are bringing in, then you have
Hmm.
total control of it, because you can shift and change the thought. If it's a
Hmm.
thought from somebody else that is not yours, then you just need to stop, pause,
Hmm.
realize it's not yours. And maybe if it's a really annoying thought, because I get a lot of those, like I
Hmm.
pick up, first of all, on a lot of energies when I'm doing
Me
a
too.
healing. Yes, when I'm doing a healing, if the person is sick, I start feeling the symptom in my body. It goes to that extent.
Hmm.
And sometimes I pick up thoughts that I think like, whoa, this thought is like super nuts. And at the beginning, I thought it was mine. So it took me a while to realize. And when I realized it was not mine, if it's a thought that I don't like, I just receive the thought. I already got the thought, and I say to myself, I release this thought and I bring it back to the light, and I go on with my life, or I go on with my day, or I go on with whatever I'm doing. I don't sustain the thought. And even if it's, I don't sustain the thought even more if it's a thought that I don't like,
Hmm.
that doesn't belong to me in any way. So I
Yeah.
grab that thought, and with love and gratitude, I send it back into the light, or I send it back to whoever it came from. It's like, here, I give you back your thought with love and light and gratitude, and may it
Hmm.
shift. So
Hmm.
you're always in and when I mean control, it's not in a sense like, let me control everything. It's just
Hmm.
that you have the power to always shift what you're not liking, and always make something new, and always create. We are natural creators. We're always
Hmm.
constantly creating, and we always have to take decisions. Every time you wake up, you have to decide, are you going to get up at 9 a.m.? Are you going to get up at 10 a.m.? Are you going to
Are you
shower
gonna
in the
stay in
morning?
bed?
Or are you going to stay in bed? Are you going to wear the yellow dress, or are you going to wear the pink dress? So you're always
Hmm.
constantly making decisions and having to decide. So in that same way that you decide when you're going to brush your teeth, if you're going to brush your teeth, or whatever
Yeah.
it is, that same way you have to decide for yourself. It's like, okay, am I liking this thought? No, I'm not liking it. Am I liking what I'm doing? Am I liking who I'm
Hmm.
being? Am I being in my fullest? No, I'm not. So then I have to decide differently. Now what am I going to decide? So then that's the creative part.
And you
You
have
can.
that liberty. Like maybe for me, it was a constant struggle because there's thoughts that maybe I learned from my family, how you were saying earlier, that some train of thoughts we probably get them from our own family, and that's usually how we form our personality as well. And so I was struggling with like a train of thoughts a few months ago that I was like, oh my God, like sometimes it's kind of hard to let go because all of a sudden this train of thought becomes part of you, and you start becoming even comfortable with like things that you might not be agreeing with in the total, or something that might not be good for you, like for example sickness. Like some people are used to being sick the whole time that sometimes you just it's normal to you. And I realized for me, for example, in my personal journey, I realized that it can start just from a thought, and it starts getting worse. And okay, like for example, my back hurts. Oh, but my back hurts, and every day my back hurts, my back hurts, my back hurts, my back hurts. Oh, so all of a sudden you're like creating, like I have a huge problem in my back, and now I have to go to the doctor, you know. And it could have stopped just by just being aware and controlling the thoughts. It's a real
Yeah.
struggle for people, and people have
Hmm.
to approach this, I think, with care, and that it's okay to feel like this, that and that you will get through it. That it's not maybe beat
Right.
yourself up for it.
Right. And also something that
Hmm.
I realized along my journey is that the body becomes addicted. So the
Mm,
body becomes addicted to pain. So
yeah.
maybe you don't want the pain, or you don't like the pain. And when you start
Hmm.
feeling better, your body automatically falls back into pain. It's like if someone is addicted to cocaine, you take the cocaine
Yeah.
away, they have this withdrawal, and then they go and buy cocaine again. They take the cocaine, and now they believe they're fine again. So also
Hmm.
realizing that our bodies can be addicted to pain. And I personally go through that experience.
Yeah.
I've been addicted to pain for many years, and I live my life with pain every single day. So I am going and facing that situation in my life, even though I do all this healing, even though I do all this
Hmm.
work, even though I have all
Yeah, because
these.
like for example, me personally, I look at your stuff, I'm like, wow, like Ivanna is like so spiritual, so enlightened. Like I want to be like her. I want to be like her. And then we see all these tons of people on social media. They're like, wow, their life looks so amazing. But I think it's good that you also share that you are a spiritual person, but also you're a human. Like you go through things, and it's okay. And it's okay if we go through it as well. And people should
For
also share
sure.
that, because we strive for perfection and for this perfect life, and this illusion that what maybe social media tells us that our lives should be. And maybe that's not the right path. Like we need to focus on ourselves, like something that happened to me, like similar. Hmm.
Right. It's be you and do
Hmm.
you, be
Hmm.
the best version of yourself. And like I
Yeah.
said, even though you might see all this, most of the things that I write in my Instagram, by the way,
Hmm.
are
Hmm.
things that I am writing to myself. It's like my
Yeah.
diary. So it's like what
Yeah.
I write to myself, it's like exactly what I'm going through and how I want to
Uh-huh.
change it. So,
Exactly.
like, let's say I'm in a day that I'm experiencing a lot of pain, which is almost every
Uh-huh.
day, and
Hmm.
I want to write a message to myself. I write it in Instagram and I reread. And sometimes I look at myself, I'm like, wow, that came out of myself. It's like so profound, because I
But it's
connect whenever.
inspiring, and it inspires you and inspires everybody else at the same time.
Yeah, when
Hmm.
I'm writing a post on my Instagram, I'm always connecting to my soul. So I'm always in that space of
Hmm.
allowing, you
Of
know how maybe you grab a
consciousness.
pen, yeah, like you grab a pen and then all of a sudden it just starts like writing on its own and you
Yeah.
don't know what you're
Uh-huh.
writing and then you read it and you're like, wow, this is profound. It's kind of that same way for me. It's like I tap into a space and I allowed my fingers to move and I'm writing whatever. I don't even know what I'm going to write. I'm having a photo.
Uh-huh.
I select my photo and then I kind of see what's the vibe of the photo, and then maybe close my eyes or just take a moment, and then I just allow my thumbs to move, and they just move, and then I read it, and I'm like, wow, that's like right on point, It's
Uh-huh.
like that's exactly what I need for myself. So
Yeah.
that's how
And
I do it
sometimes
for
it's hard to
myself.
articulate also, like what you're going through, and putting a word to relate to what you're going through and the emotion, um, putting a name on things like that. It can be hard. Yeah. Like for me, sometimes I struggle when I want to, like, maybe communicate something. I'm like, I can't find like the right word that
Because you're in
expresses
your
like what I'm
mind.
feeling right now. I'm like, how am I supposed to communicate with this? Like, but I can't find like the good word for it.
Because
Hmm.
usually we're in our minds. We're trying to
Yeah.
communicate from our thinking mind.
Hmm.
When we are able to when we're able to drift from the mind or from being rational in that sense of what would be the perfect caption for this perfect photo or what would be the perfect thing I need to say or what should I say, and you just
Yeah.
put yourself into a channel. That's what I do when I'm doing my healing. First of all, I am Ivana, Evie. It's not
Hmm.
doing anything. Like
Hmm.
I always give that disclaimer. It's like it's not me. I am not magical. This is not magic.
Hmm.
This is me
Brujería,
allow
brujería.
yeah. This is me putting myself in a state of complete openness I become this space of I have to also work on putting myself into a very neutral space with my
Mhm.
thoughts. Whenever my thoughts kick in, I have to bring back myself to my breath, because I'm doing a session, and at the beginning I was like, what do I have to bring for the
And then
groceries?
you're like
Did
thinking
I,
about like
you
what
know?
you're gonna shop next, like Target.
Yeah, it
Oh,
happened to me at
stupid
the
stuff.
beginning. Yeah, and I felt like I was like, bullshitting me. Sorry for the word, but yeah, like bullshitting me.
Yeah,
Like I'm not
don't
being
mind.
honest. I'm like, here playing the balls, and my mind is completely in another space. So at the beginning, it was very difficult for me to bring myself back, and I still drift. And now when I focus that I'm drifting, I know
Hmm.
how to bring myself back. And if I have to bring myself back 1,000 times in a 1 hour session, I will bring myself 1,000 times back to that space of
Hmm.
full openness to be the channel, to be able to receive the messages, to be able to help the person that's coming for help. And they, in this case, ask to me for the help or the guidance. So
Hmm.
when I'm in a session, I'm always practicing and working into
Hmm.
bringing myself back. And that's what we do in meditation. When we're sitting in meditation, that's when the thoughts even activate more when you want to sit and meditate. It's like when your
When you're
mind
like telling
becomes
yourself,
like,
don't think. Like it's like
yeah,
somebody telling you, don't think, don't think. Well,
it's
what are
like
you
you're
gonna do? You're
telling,
gonna think. Hmm.
yes, it's telling yourself, think, think, think. So it's just being aware that you're drifting, and with that awareness, bring yourself back. And with that awareness, bring yourself back. It doesn't matter that if in a 10-minute meditation, for every minute you have to bring yourself 10 times back. That's okay. Just always bring yourself
Hmm.
back. And with that practice, eventually you're going to be able to hold, we called it holding space. When you
Hmm.
practice that, you're going to be able to hold the space longer periods of time. And
Hmm.
it happens to the best of the best of the best healers out there. It happens to
Hmm.
everyone, because those best shamans and healers and people that we might idolize as wow, they go
Hmm.
through the same process, and they also have a thinking mind. So they also have to be practicing themselves of bringing themselves back and bringing back and bringing back
Yeah,
and bringing back. And
it's
that's
not
all. Just
perfect.
bring
Like
yourself
it's not.
back.
Hmm. Well, I'm so happy that you were able to join us today and just talk about this. Like, I love talking about spirituality and maybe learning from other people's journey and what they use. Like, it doesn't matter, like, a different religion or philosophy. I just love hearing all this because I try to use it and apply it in my spiritual life as well. Do you have maybe like a message that you feel like it's probably, I know you're a healer and I know that you also have that spirit, like that guide in you, like that sensei sort of, like I can sense it. What would you give, like what message would you give out there right now, like something that maybe you felt that you have to share?
And say, well,
Hmm.
what came into my presence, the first thing that
Hmm.
came was to say, do you and be you. Do
Hmm.
you and be you. That's key, because like you mentioned right now, you see
Hmm.
social media, you see like maybe the people that you
Hmm.
idolize, like your actor, your singer that you love, and you say, I want to be like them, I want to be like them, I want to be like them.
Hmm.
And the key is, the essence of this is to do you and be you. And how are you going to do you and be you if you don't know who you are? So it's
Hmm.
this go, and now that you have the time to do you and be you, really do you and be you. And
Hmm.
discover yourself, discover your true essence, and connect with your soul. You have five bodies, really fast. You have five bodies. You
Hmm.
have the physical body, you have the mental body, you have the energetic body, you have um, physical, mental, emotional, energetic, and spiritual body. And with the spiritual body, we usually would never interact. So the invitation for you today is do you and be you, and connect more with your soul, with your heart, with that essence of life. And when
Hmm.
you realize that you're not your thinking mind, that you're not your emotions, that you're not your physical body, that you are a sense of energy, and that you are your soul, that's when you're going to start to find and feel yourself. That's when you're going to start to feel and appreciate yourself and love yourself and understand yourself and be and have this unconditional love for you. So as much as you
Mm-hmm.
can see other people's Instagrams and other people's lives and you can get inspired by them,
Mm-hmm.
focusing on being you and doing you and truly connecting to that voice within you, that it's not your thinking voice, that it's not your emotions, that it's not your body, it's your soul, and it speaks differently. So the
Mm-hmm.
maybe the invitation is that now that you have the time is to identify your thinking voice and identify your
Mm-hmm.
soul voice, because they're different. So if you allow yourself to discover your soul's voice,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to experience life completely differently. Now you're going to be able to choose, do I want to be the thinking mind or do I want to be my true essence and my soul? Because when you're your soul, that's where unconditional love lives. That's where bliss lives, because happiness is very conditional. If you don't have
Mm-hmm.
the car you want, if you don't want the house you want, if you don't have the clothes you want, if you're not going to the concert you want, you're not happy. So happiness is very conditional. It comes from the ego mind. But
Mm-hmm.
being blissful and living bliss comes from your soul, and that's who you are. In your soul lies your truth. In your
Mm-hmm.
soul lies optimal health. In your soul lies the peace. Living truly in peace, not living in peace by moments, but truly being in a state of peace.
Do you
So
think
that's
that
what
we can achieve that like sense of peace,
I don't
like
think so. I
for
know it.
so
I
I
know
because
it
like for me it's like I'm in that roller coaster still, so
because we're
it's
in our
like
minds.
hmm
Because we're in our minds, because we're doubting, the mind and the ego. The mind, it's ego. Your emotions
hmm
are part of your ego. Your physical
hmm
body is part of your ego,
exactly.
right?
I'm part of ego death right now. I'm like the mind is still trying to survive, and it's like I'm still here, so it's pretty tricky. I'm in probably that stage, if you would call it a stage, where I have to learn how to just shut it off and maybe put it aside and be present, master presence.
Master presence, being presence.
Hmm
And you said shut it off and put it aside. You don't have to shut it off and
hmm
put it aside. You can let
hmm
it be. You can let it
exactly.
come. You can let it be itself.
It's like
Let
a
it
like
let
a floating thing, they say, like
Yeah,
it's like a
yeah, let
floating
it
thing that's there.
be. Right, just let it be, but don't become it. So you
Hmm
can let fear be. You don't have to kick it, push it. You don't have to fight it. You don't have to do anything with fear.
hmm
Allow fear to be fear. Notice fear and just
hmm
choose to be peace.
hmm
Choose to connect with your soul, but you don't have to do anything to fear. Like, here's a brilliant example that someone taught me, and to me
hmm
was very profound. So let's everybody here, we're eight, seven people now, seven people
hmm
connected. All of a sudden, they are connected. Let's imagine that I am in a room or you're in a room that is dark, okay?
hmm
And you wanna push out the darkness, okay? So you're in this room, right? And it's dark. So all of a sudden you're just like doing this.
yeah.
And then someone comes in the room, right? And they see you doing this. And oh, Alexa turned on. So like they're you're pushing and the person comes in and they're asking you, Evie, what are you doing? And you turn around, well, I'm pushing the light, I'm pushing the darkness away. I don't like it. I don't want it to go. And the person says, hey, there's a switch on the wall that if you press that switch, light is gonna come into the room and you don't have to do anything with darkness. You let darkness be. But what we're
hmm
doing is we want to push the darkness out and we want to fight with it when we really have nothing to do with it. We just have to
hmm
turn on the light. And how
hmm
do you turn on the light? Connecting with your soul. That's your light. That's your luminous being. Fear, guilt, illness, resentment, anger, sadness, all those emotions come from the dark. We're not saying
Yes.
they're bad. We're just saying they're from the dark.
It's
The
not good
peace,
or bad, nor no labeling.
exactly. No
Hmm
labeling. It's just what it is. And there are energies that bring us in a very low frequency. So we maybe feel
hmm
drained, we maybe feel tired, we maybe feel sick. But if we just turn to the light
Oh
or
no.
on the light switch, now we're gonna find ourselves in like,
hmm
oh, here's what the peace is, here's what optimal health is, here's where bliss is, here's where,
hmm
I feel more comfortable, I feel myself. So, I mean, That's what I have to
I'm gonna
say.
turn on the commenting. That way, maybe we get in a um, a question if somebody has a question. Let's see.
And are you able to see what people wrote throughout if when you
Um,
turned them off?
I'm not sure. I think this is the first time that I tried doing this. I just wanted for it to what's it called? Not to be like covering your face. So, does anybody have a question right now for my gorgeous friend Ivanna? For the five people that are here today, but I'm sure people are gonna watch it later. You know, we're sort of in different time zones, but any questions?
Oh,
Hola.
my mom just said hola güera. Hi mom, I love you.
Hi, Mom. Nice to meet you. Thank you for joining my live and thank you for making such a beautiful daughter. I know
Oh.
Ivanna from Monterrey, and I always thought she was like really cool and funny. And it's cool that we're like, we met each other from a long time ago, but now we're kind of reconnecting again, like through this spiritual path, which is really nice. How often do you practice? Uh,
Well,
mhm,
yeah, I
mhm,
practice. I mean, practice for me doesn't really always means that I have to like sit in meditation or I practice every day. And how
mhm.
do I practice every day and every minute and every time is
Claro.
because I know what's happening in my inner world, right? So
Mhm,
if there's a thought that's coming in, like we were talking about the thinking mind, if there's a thought that comes in that I don't like. I'm in that state of always practicing. Okay, is this mine? Is this not mine? What do I do with it? I'm feeling
mhm,
pain. How can I release this pain? What is the pain telling me? So
mhm.
I'm always practicing, always practicing. So
Yeah,
yes,
and
I'm
you don't
always in
really
that
need to
state.
just like sit down and turn on some music and meditate, and you can do it on a day to day, even doing yourself, right?
Do it when I'm showering, when I'm sleeping, when I'm eating, when I'm standing right now, when I'm doing this. I'm always in that state of like, okay, my body is in pain. How can I deal with this? How can I serve my body? I
Yeah,
feel with a very low energy. How can I raise my energy? And I just saw that
exactly.
Vic, Citizen Yoga, just sign in. Vic, my beautiful partner. Love you.
Oh, welcome, guys. Welcome. Arriba Monterrey, por cierto.
Arriba Monterrey, sí
Arriba
señor.
México.
Arriba México y el
Sí,
norte.
y el norte, sí, señor.
Yes.
Hi, pues I'm so happy that you were able to come here. We have 3 minutes left. Anybody else has a question?
I see little kisses. Mwah. Well, thank you all of you guys that did connect. And if you like this live, spread the
Oh yeah,
word.
tell us where to follow you for my followers.
Yeah, so I have two Instagrams. My personal Instagram, which is Ivy or Evie Joy. So it's IVI
Mm-hmm,
dot joy. And then the
mm-hmm,
other one is for my healing is Sanarte Healing altogether.
mm-hmm.
Sanarte Healing.
I love it. I can't wait to. I mean, hopefully you can come back again. You're welcome to come to my weekend deep conversations only. Thank you guys, everybody, for showing up and showing support. I'm so thankful for this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hopefully I can visit you in LA soon. That would
I
be
know you should.
amazing.
Yeah, mi casa es tu casa.
Oh, thank you so much. So, okay,
Okay,
let's ring these just one last
sure.
time.
Yeah, let's do it. We have a minute, so here you go.
All right, guys. I love you. Thank you for connecting.
Bye. Love you. See you